Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back with a very quick FIA Nations track guide for this Saturday's FIA Nations race at Brands Hatch, driving the Honda Integra Type R. So as usual, if you do appreciate these videos and you do enjoy it, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, it really helps us out. But yeah, for this race it does look like it is going to be pretty much a simple strategy wise, but we're going to go through the track guide after, because I think it's going to be extremely important to get yourself as high up on the grid as possible, because the strategy for this race is looking like a no stop race. It doesn't look like there's going to be any need to change tyres or refuel. Looking at the settings that are on there anyway, I think it's ×4 for fuel and ×8 for tyre wear, driving around on the sports hard tyres. So tyre wear is probably not really going to be an issue, I think, for 12 laps of Brands Hatch in this car. It's not the longest race you're ever going to do. And yeah, I think it's going to be mainly about qualifying and trying to stay with them faster runners at the front, using some slipstream to help you through. So we're going to go through some tips to try and help you out, some pointers in terms of where you can lose time, where you can gain time over the lap, because obviously with it being extremely important for time trial, this time trial guide is probably going to be a pretty close guide to the qualifying, because obviously qualifying now runs no fuel on board and the tyre wear is quite low for this race anyway, so I don't think there's going to be a huge difference between lap times between time trial and qualifying, probably about half a second or so in terms of speed that you're just carrying through some of the corners. But yeah, there is a lot of time to be gained here if you do keep this car revving. It's extremely important as well to keep momentum in this car at this combination. It needs to carry the speed through the corners, so you are going to really have to utilize a lot of the track width, etc., coming out of some of the bends. Like for example, the final corner is so important. So we're going to start the track guide going through all the tips of braking zones and everything. So yeah, if you do enjoy it, remember, hit that like button. So yeah, through to the final corner, starting your lap, you're going to see that we straight away extend a little bit on the left on the grass with the left hand tyre. That just helps rotate the car through the final corner, gives you a little bit extra speed also down the main straight to start your lap. So every little helps with this type of car at this combination. So we're going to stay to the left for the start of the lap, and we're going to brake just past the number 2 board. You're going to see number 2 board there, and we're just hitting the brakes at this point now and getting ready to trail brake into the apex of the corner. You see, never really putting 100% braking in there, just trail braking gradually down into the apex, letting the car rotate. And now at this point you want to get your right hand tyres pretty much over the curb there to bite into the apex, and then on the throttle as early as you physically can. You see, nice and early on the throttle there. Be careful, the car can understeer there, so you might need to give it a little lift as you go through that corner just to avoid going onto the sand on the left. Now we're going to brake just before the bridge. You see, nice and early on the brakes, downshift into third gear. We're not going to go to second gear here. Extremely important to stay in third gear, although the temptation is to go down to second. It's much better to stay in third, hug the apex nicely, then get on the throttle. It's very important again to get that right hand tyre onto this apex, squared off onto the throttle nice and early enough that you don't understeer though. You make sure you don't understeer too far wide there, and then powering down into the next braking zone, which again, it's very important to get on the brakes quite early here. You see, nice and early on the brakes, because we don't want to scrub too much speed up. So what we're doing, we're trying to lose the speed early so we can get on the throttle nice and early and carry the speed through the apex of the corner. You see, left hand tyres onto that curb, just skimming it. It really does help with the rotation again there. Maximum throttle, a slight little lift on the just after the apex there, because I felt I was running a little bit far on the right hand side, but yeah, managed to do that quite nicely. Now into the next braking zone, we're going to use that one board on the right hand side as a reference, hitting the brakes just past the one board, and again going down to third gear. Don't go down any lower than third gear here. You see, down to third gear, we're going to hold third gear, try and get it to skim the apex here. I actually hit this apex quite nicely, but you see Giorgio slightly misses the apex with that wider line, but manages to carry more speed. You can see how he's carrying more speed with his ghost there. That is obviously the number 1 ghost that we're leaving on through this guide to try and give you some tips as well. And yeah, you see he gains that little bit of exit speed as well, so carried a bit more speed. I took probably a slightly nicer line through there, but didn't carry the speed. So again, the importance of carrying the speed is vital with this car. Now into the next braking point, we're going to brake just pretty much 2/3 of the way back from number 1 board, just past the number 2 board, nice and early again. Let the car coast through the corner with a bit of trail braking. You see, no throttle on, and then once we feel the grips there, on the throttle, and again try and keep your right hand tyres as close to the curb on the right hand side as possible. This will help you get as much exit speed out of here as possible. You can see me slightly playing with the throttle as we're coming out of the exit there, because I was wondering if I might just run a little bit understeering on the exit, but no, we managed to do it. And then again, nice and early on the brakes, just past that number 2 board, making sure again that you're braking quite early, because we want to carry the speed through the apex. You can see how Giorgio up ahead, taking the car right over the middle of the curb, and that is what you really want to do here to carry the speed. So over the curb, on the throttle nice and early, use the exit curb, use some of the tarmac on the left hand side, but be careful not to run into the gravel, that will slow you down, and that is a very tricky corner to get right there. Now into the next tricky-ish corner. This is quite hard as well. You want to make sure that you're extending the car all the way to the left. You see how Giorgio's car using the full width of the track, and you're going to take this corner as much off as you physically can while keeping a kind of an open line through the corner, because if you do it too tight, you're going to cause a bit of a narrowing off of the corner at this point here. But we did that quite nice, enabling us to stay on the throttle there, then into the next braking point, which we're going to brake just before that 1 board. Again, you see, nice and early, a lot earlier than what you'd do with other cars on the game. Nice and early so that we can scrub the speed up slowly and then get back on the throttle nice and early. As you see now, just starting to get back on the throttle there, and we're going to skim the apex with that left hand tyre and keep on the throttle now all the way through the exit, and again powering down into this final corner. And again, for this corner, we're going to do pretty much what we did at the start of the lap, using the green bit of using the grass on the left hand side there. You see, keeping the car almost in the middle. You see Giorgio there maximising that to perfection really. Right hand tyre still on the tarmac just about. That's what you really want to do. It is very risky though. I did it a much safer way, just pretty much in the middle and skimming the apex on the right side, maintaining good exit speed though, and carrying the speed all the way down to the start finish line. You see now at this point you want to stay to the right hand side of the track for the shortest possible route to the finishing line, and we go over the line for a 1 minute 46.2. Not an amazing lap, but it's a pretty solid lap. I didn't spend too long. You see, I think in total with what we did the other day as well, when I did a quick go of this a few days ago, we've done like 50 miles in the car, so not spent too long, but starting to find reasonable speed. Pretty solid lap. Let's have another look at that lap from the chase camera view, and just again to try and point out some of the things that you need to do with this car. So going into that first corner again, you see trying to skim the apex with that right hand tyre, just going over the curb, lovely there, using the full width of the track on the left hand side there so you don't run into the gravel though, and then braking just before the bridge, holding that tight apex line, staying in 3rd gear on the pound nice and early, using the track on the left hand side. You see, you can I could have probably used a little bit more there, took a bit more speed, but again braking very early because it's so important to get the car rotated and get that exit speed, because you want to get on the throttle as early as possible, like we explained earlier from the normal gameplay camera. So important to do. And again here, I think I could have carried a bit more speed into the corner. You see, I maybe was on the brakes a fraction too long, which I could have possibly carried a bit more speed, but we did use the full width for the track on the exit there. You don't want to be scrubbing your tyres too hard. So yeah, it's just a case of these cars are probably not my strongest type of car, but I have to say it's quite an enjoyable combination. This car at Brands Hatch, it's quite nice to drive, so looking forward to this one. And again, through here you see clipping the apex, using the full width again on the left hand side, and yeah, it's all about getting them lines right, getting the exit speed sorted with this car. You want to carry the momentum. It's so important with a car like this. If you brake too much and you drop down in gears, that means you're probably going to have to downshift the gear, and then when you upshift with this car, you lose so much momentum. Again, through there you see pretty much perfect through there, nailed that, and then onto the brakes just before that 1 board, carrying the speed through this corner, on the throttle nice and early to carry that momentum, and then into that final corner where you're going to see again how I didn't do it as much as Giorgio did. You see, I'm more sent to the car. You can see I've got much more tarmac left on the right hand side, a lot safer way of doing it, but still getting some advantage from doing it. Giorgio really did maximise that final corner and nailed it, so probably a 10th or so to gain on that final corner just by carrying a bit more speed. But over the line, solid lap. Hope you enjoyed this track guide. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, notification button, etc. If you do appreciate these videos, and it does help you out, it really helps me out if you do them things. And I will see you for more of these track guides in the future, and more videos from races, and also more live streams. Thanks again for watching everyone, and I'll see you all soon.